Hello everybody and welcome to the Stoughton Writers Group on TV. I'm Mike Hardman, your host and the author of Hardman in Memory, and today we're going to take a little detour and talk romantic and it's kind of steamy book. Kade Charest, the author of Gray Area. Kade, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, first question I'll ask, how'd you come up with this idea, and tell me a little bit about the book?
It's a mess in my brain. I wish I knew exactly how. There is actually a Taylor Swift song that it kind of opened up, and it's with Bon Iver's, and it talks about a relationship. Like a man comes in and he sees the ex-girlfriend with somebody else, and it kind of sparked from there. The opening scene is, as you might know, is something similar in nature. He comes to an event, sees the love of his life that he let go, and it spirals from there, the story. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I came about it.
So you're a Swiftie too? Way to go.
I do enjoy Taylor Swift, and like her love story is like what romance novels are about, right? Yeah.
So we talk about the two main characters, Delkin Falco, who a guy you don't want to meet in a dark alley.
No.
And then Vivian, the woman that's gone through the foster care system, is kind of a lonely person, like a kind of sad character in the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you develop the characters of the book?
I think I found people in my life that I kind of pieced these characters together. Of course, Declan is the bad boy that every woman wants to fix, and Vivian is able to do that. So that's straight out of fiction. So everything about him, I just kind of picked pieces of him that I thought I found attractive, quite frankly, and that were something that we could work with. And then Vivian, I wanted her to be this sad character, have this heavy past that was really hard for somebody else to fit in with. And I just kind of, again, pieced her together with different characters I've seen over the years, people in real life who've gone through different things, different news stories and things like that.
It's a book you can't put down.
Oh, I love
like
that.
I told you, you owe me a night's sleep. I started reading and I couldn't put it down because I like the characters. You know, I was thinking a book you have to like the characters, even though Delco Falco is a bad guy. They're loosely in the mob kind of thing, and he beats people up, and he's very protective of his brothers.
Yes.
Brothers are kind of crazy too.
Yep.
I loved his little brother Roman though. He was an adorable kid. And his father has come from a hard knocks kind of life and built a business and all that. But when you start the book, you start them meeting in a very interesting area when they meet at college, and the way she looks at him, he scares her.
Yes, he does. So he notices her first. Yeah. She's completely out of it, but you know, he kind of stares her down, and she's like, I don't have any time for this. And you know, I love that it was like a neutral situation, right, for them. Like who would have thought this bad guy that beats everybody up, who's very protective, would be in a class, and then this woman who's just trying to build herself a better life. It's a neutral setting, and so she doesn't know anything about him, but he does freak her out, yeah.
For Delkin, it's kind of weird because he's in a class in business ethics.
Yes,
and
exactly.
As you read the book, there's no ethics in his business
practice.
practice.
No ethics. He has his own moral compass that he's completely made up. That just sometimes I think he just breaks it, and he doesn't use it at all. Yeah.
And the book is steamy in places too, as we say that too. So you get caught up in that, and you caught up in how they develop their relationship, and I think you kind of feel the passion off the pages, the way I describe it.
That. Yes,
yeah,
thank
I think
you.
I feel that.
Yeah,
you can steal that for the back of a book thing.
Thank you. Yes, I'm going to put that in a blurb. I love that.
But I think you have that though. They have the passion too. But what I was really interested in is the way you set up the chapters. Well, one is in his voice and one is in her voice. How did you do that?
I had to get inside each of their heads, but I wanted everybody to be able to feel them from different perspectives. So I kind of tried to trade back and forth their opinions of what's happening around them right then. It was hard to get in other people's heads, you know. They live in my head, but it was hard to maybe separate it out because you feel compassion, I feel like, for one, and then you feel compassion for the other. So to kind of separate it out and get their different emotions, it was very difficult. I'm actually not sure how I did it.
Yeah, because most of the time when you write a book like that, you stick with the one character all the way through, but you purposely cut.
Yep.
And it's Delkin, Vivian. And you did that. How did you do that when you were writing? Did you write Delkin all at once? Did you write Vivian all at once?
My writing is not my writing formula, if you want to call it that. It's terrible. I'm not really good at it. I call it more like making a quilt. So I make one square. So I do one scene from somebody's perspective. And sometimes I've written entire scenes from one's perspective, and I'm like, you know what, this would actually be better if it was from the other person's perspective. And then I have to go through and fix it up, I should say, from their perspective. It's not good, and I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. I've tried.
But it works for you.
It does work for me.
Yeah.
I've tried to be a plotter.
Yeah.
I think it would be great to be a plotter, but I can't make it work. So I'm just sticking with what I got. So when I think of a scene, I usually think of it from a certain point of view or how this would look for them, and I write it that in their voice.
But without giving away the plot, you do it. You can see where you take them in progression till they get to the end of their romance. We'll say, they get to that, and their relationship develops, and all the different characters you introduce. How'd you keep that straight? Like, how are you going through it?
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's lots of like cutting and pasting. So I'll open like different documents and I'll write in one thing. And I have actually, so I'll write in a document and then I'll kind of paste it in. It makes me think of back in the late 1900s when I was in school. We would literally write things down on paper, and in a couple classes we would cut and move our scenes around. I kind of do something like that. And then I'll have like a section called scraps where I take scenes that I love, but that I kind of flip to the side because I'm like, maybe we need this, maybe we don't. Yeah, it's a mess.
I think it's a mess. It works really well.
It
too.
works well for
it
me,
works well.
but I can't really explain it.
No,
Yeah.
that's interesting too. But you also, in Declan, when you're writing in Declan, you're writing in a man's voice.
Yes.
And how was that difficult?
I'm writing in a fictional man's voice.
Yeah, that's a man's voice, though. Men think that way.
You think so? Okay.
Oh yeah, without going into graphic details about the book, because I don't want to give away the plot.
No.
But you think that way. Most men think that way.
So I try to think. I mean, based on what I've seen on shows and like talking to my husband, and I have 2 sons, and I'm like, I feel like sometimes I have a pretty good grasp, but there are some things, like my husband will tell me he can't beat somebody up for me because it's illegal, and it's rude. And but Declan can, and he doesn't care. Yeah. So that part about it, I definitely fictionalize, but getting inside the head of a man, I think it's just based on talking things out or watching shows and things like that.
What influenced it?
So I've always liked like mafia type books, The Bad Boy. I would say if I had to pick like one character out there right now that I could pin Declan on, it would be Rip from Yellowstone. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Yeah. When he throws that chair through a window and he goes after his love to protect her, that's amazing to me.
Yeah. When I first read it, I saw the influence of Shades of Grey, but you don't go there though.
No. So I think romance as a genre very much exploded after 50 Shades of Grey became so popular, and I think that it allowed people to kind of come out with different things. So I think maybe there were some things in there, like he's very possessive. The main character of 50 Shades is very possessive, so I could see some themes in there, but yeah, I think it does deviate.
Especially in the beginning, I thought, okay, I'm going to read 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes, yep.
And I like that book, so I wasn't disappointed. I go, this is going to be your version of 50 Shades of Grey, but then it's not that at all.
No, it's not.
Because he's loving and caring for her.
Which is something you don't expect to see from him, yeah.
How did you develop his character? He's so multifaceted.
I don't know. To be honest, I feel like just as I wrote, he kind of came alive. I knew who I wanted him to be. I knew I wanted him to be the bad boy, and that, he was kind of, he would take things in his own hands and handle them and take care of them. But I think just as I wrote him out, and as you kind of saw the compassion he had for Vivian, and then you could see it with his brothers and things like that, it kind of made him, you could see who he was really on the inside. And I think his voice just comes out, as lots of characters do, as you write them down. Mm-hmm. They kind of take over, and you're like, I didn't want you to do that, but they do it anyway because that's what they do.
He's interesting on the male side. The second male character I thought was the father was interesting.
Yes.
Because he had a lot of old world in him, but also a lot of regret.
I think the more that I talk about the father figure in this book, I think I base him off of my father, who had like a lot of history, and we never know what our parents really went through, and I think that he harbored a lot of inside things that he wasn't able to take on, but he was regretful of, and I think towards the end of his days, he was more apologetic in nature about how his life had been, but it had shaped him into the person he was, and people can do all kinds of things with that, and Mr. Falco took it in one direction, and he tried his hardest to protect his children.
And be legitimate business.
And be legitimate and make things better for his children, yes.
But it was always, in the book, it was always like his wife is hovering over him, too.
Yes.
As the conscience. His wife is the conscience in the book.
I'd love to go back and write their love story from back in the day.
Well, this is book one. So.
This is book one. I've got lots of room. Yeah, I've got lots of
room.
room. Yeah.
Did you write it with thinking it was book one?
Yes. I wrote it thinking of all the brothers, keeping all the brothers in mind. And the plan is to have a book for each brother.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How do you develop them from where they're backup characters in this book?
Yes.
Basically, they're different, but you like them, but they're not. You don't like them obviously because they're dastardly people. But you identify with them, whatever. But you focus on Vivian and Declan, and maybe the father a little bit more, the third character. But they're background characters. So how do you bring them to the forefront?
I put pieces of them in, I think, but I think you're right. Like when I start the next one, it's kind of starting from scratch again. Like you know a little bit about them if you've read this book, but they'll have to be their own people. I wanted to do my next book, his brother Axel, but I felt like I had to put I have to develop that character a little more as the books go on, like you said. From the beginning, I'm trying to kind of differentiate them and show their different personalities and things from this next book. I'm trying to show his brother Slade and what he's about and what he cares about, because I think we definitely got a hint of what was primarily important to Declan, but now we'll see what it's.
And the younger brother too. You can kind of watch him. He grows up fast in the book.
Yes, he does.
We're surrounded by his brothers.
And he's going to be more in more of the other books in an older character, so that you can see what kind of man he's become.
Let's flip side to the woman side, Vivian. How'd you come up with that character?
I love that character. I do work in healthcare, so I've met a lot of people who've had lots of poor growing up situations and have, I've met a lot of people who have pushed through and persevered through some of that. And I really took some of their attitude and their aggression, I guess, towards wanting a better life, and I funneled that into Vivian.
And you find out while you read the book, you find out why the backpack is important. Too,
yes.
Which was, I thought, well, I don't want to give it away because
no,
but with the backpack is a central thing when you read the book, and how that described usually you use the backpack to describe her so well.
Yes, yeah. I felt like I had read a story online that kind of was something similar that brought the backpack as a key piece of information, and I wanted to integrate that into the story in some way. And I do think that it kind of she is one and the same, right? Yeah, she is the backpack. So it's very important, and I kind of like how it keeps appearing in the story.
It does, and how possessive she is of it. But also, she's like somebody that faced a lot of challenges, but is very determined to get on with her life.
Yes.
And very focused, and she'll put up with a lot. She lives in a really bad neighborhood. You fear the fear of her walking home, and she did that really well. You kind of fear her walking through these bad neighborhoods to get home, and the cold. You feel the cold too.
Yes, and I feel like as a woman, sometimes walking in different spots, I think that's drawing from my own experience. You're in certain spots and you're like, I don't belong here. Yeah. But I'm very fortunate. I've always been very safe. But I've seen people. Or I'm driving through different cities and I see people walking, and I'm like, oh, I just wanna. Those poor people. Like, you do what you have to do, and I think that's very empowering. And I think that's Vivian's character. She's doing what she has to do to get to where she wants to be.
When I teach writing, I always tell people you should feel. I use an example: the room's 100 degrees, and you're reading a book about Antarctica, and you should feel cold.
You should feel cold. That's such a great thing. Did you feel cold?
Yeah, no,
yeah?
I felt cold, and she's why I felt her. I felt anxiety about it. Like I said,
great.
I read it late at night too, which wasn't a good idea. But I felt the anxiety of her.
I don't know. It seemed to help. I don't think you should go with this. Yeah.
I know, but I saw the anxiety of her trying to get through life, and all the frustration when she was sick, I felt her being. She didn't die or anything. She had just the flu or whatever. But when she was sick, I felt her being sick.
Yes. And she's just trying to get ahead, just trying to take advantage of any opportunity she can. Yeah.
How do you describe their relationship? How did you sit down and think about how that was going to be?
I feel like their relationship is very, I don't want to say grumpy sunshine, but it's very like, I don't know how I would describe it. That's a great question. I think when I thought about, he was going after something he wants, and initially this is nothing she wants a part of. So I had to think of what would be something that would draw a man that's very aggressive and very attractive and could probably get any woman he wants. What would draw him to someone else? And I kind of put those characteristics into Vivian, and built her up into this. She's a strong woman, and she's thinks about herself kind of first, and she doesn't really think about anybody else, and she's assertive, and I think that made him attracted to her in that way.
Because strangely, he picks her out.
Yes.
In a whole classroom of...
He just picks her up by the back of her hair, and he's interested to see who she is. He's drawn to her, and then he doesn't get to do that, and he's pissed off about it.
Do you think he was drawn to her because she was elusive and he didn't think she'd get her? Because she gives off this vibe of...
I don't know.
She gives off this vibe of like, don't bother me.
I think maybe that is, right? Yeah. He has, women constantly throwing himself at him, or it's like it's easy for him. And this wasn't easy. She didn't give him any attention. She didn't even shy away from him, never mind look at him. So it drew him in. It's
like sort of the one we can't have.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was trying to conquer her too.
Like it was almost his bad girl, if you will. Like if every girl wants a bad boy, she thinks she can fix him. He was like, what is up with this girl? Why isn't she giving me attention?
But she's not a bad girl. No stretch of the imagination.
No.
Yeah. And you also said it in Fall River because you grew up around there. And
yes, I
did. So was that easy to write about that area?
I love writing about places that I live or that I'm familiar with, because I think that it makes it so much more real because I can describe it so easily. Mm-hmm. It was easy to put those places in, and I could see it in my head. It made it easier to describe. It made it easier, I think, to give vibes to the situation that we were in.
We both went to UMass Dartmouth,
yes,
Gold Coast
yeah.
areas. But so I think I was familiar with the area too, and I think some of the areas you described, you could say, okay, I've been there.
Yep.
Did you go to the places before you write it?
I mean, I go to those places quite often. I do work in Fall River, so it was like around the Highland areas. Like I'm familiar with what the building and the structure looks like and how they're set up. And then PCC, I've taken multiple classes there. So being near that campus, which is and how it's laid out and the bus stops and things like that, that was super easy for me. I didn't necessarily go there. I think I just pulled from memory. Right. But yeah, I am familiar with the areas, and I love, and as the books go on, I am putting more of the South Coast in it. So there's more of New Bedford and Fall River and different things like that.
After you wrote the book and you go back there, do you think of the book when you go back to those places?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah. And I think, oh, Declan would be in there right now. Yeah, he'd be shooting pool in there. Or, maybe he's taking a class in that room. Yeah. Yes.
The barrooms was particular. I remember the barrooms in that area, colorful.
Yes,
and that came out
colorful. That's a great way to put it. Yes.
That came out too in the book too.
Yes.
How much does your past influence what you're writing about, do you think, or what your current situation?
I think everything that we've ever been through is always going to come through in our lives in some way, and I definitely feel that I channel that stuff into my books. Like, I've been through certain things or I've seen different things, and I definitely pull from my past or my memories to plop those into the books.
Why do women like the bad boy, do you think?
I think they think they can fix him.
Is that what it is?
I think they think they can fix him. And, and the only way they can is if they read him in a book, because they're not going to fix the guy that wants to be the bad boy or the jerk. He's not usually going to change. But they do in my book.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Your book breaks the mold. Breaks the mold. Do you think he was trying to fix her?
I think he was trying to help her. I don't think he saw her as broken. To me, he didn't see her as broken. He just saw her as somebody that maybe needed a hand. I think that if he had tried to fix her, she might have pushed him farther away.
It was hard to see her as broken, but she really was.
Yes. I think she hid it well.
Yeah.
And I think people that are broken do hide it well.
Is that for your same experience working?
Yes. I think that people that are broken, they don't want to bother anybody. They want to put it off that they're okay. And I think they think if they fake it till they make it, they'll make it. And I think that she just got really good at hiding things.
But you also had the roommate who was a great character too. Yes. And she's kind of the opposite. Why did you develop that character, the opposite?
Because you always want somebody to bounce off the other one. And I think she was good. I think she was almost like Vivian's conscious. Like Vivian couldn't see straight when it came to Declan or anything else. And she's negative. She tries to be powerful and everything, but she is negative. But her roommate is not negative, and she's always pumping her up. And I think we all need somebody like that in our life, because I think we're always going to look down on ourselves. And I think it was a good bounce, because they're both kind of grumpy sometimes. Those characters.
Yeah, they are. But she wasn't though.
No, she wasn't. She was her ray of sunshine.
She was full of life.
Yes, she
was. Full of life. And she's going to be a nurse too. So
yes.
Was that part of you too?
Oh yeah.
Did you see yourself? What characters are you? Were you her?
I feel like I'm a mix of all of them, right?
Yeah.
I love to be positive, and I love to build my friends up and things like that, but then sometimes, especially when you're trying to be a writer and test this out and do it yourself, you find a lot of fault in yourself. So I definitely have friends that bounce off me. So I think I just pull from people around me.
You can tell you like put little bits of you. You didn't go all you, but you put little bits of you in
I
it.
do hear that a lot when people I know read it. They're like, "Oh, I could hear you in that.
Yeah,
I could hear you saying that." And I'm like, I don't know which part it was, and I don't know if I want to know, but we're good. Yeah.
When you the apartment, how'd you go with that idea? I've lived in that place, so
You
I know.
lived there. Oh, God,
so I know what
yeah.
it's like, and now I kind of related to it.
I've done different types of nursing. I've been a visiting nurse, and I've had to visit people in all different types of places. And you see them, and people are desperate, and they need a place to live, and you don't have much money, and maybe those two could have afforded something a little bit better based on the story, but they were definitely trying to save a lot of money, and that was their hell on earth right there.
I always say it built my character.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it built theirs for sure. Yes.
Mine was the top floor of an old house, and it had slanted roofs. And every time I got up, I bumped my head.
Every time.
Yeah, so I gave myself multiple. I think I gave myself multiple concussions in the couple of years I lived there. But I think that people can relate to this book too.
Yes.
A lot. I mean, it's a getaway. I think in some ways, it's a getaway romantic novel, and it's got a lot of romance in it, and it's steamy. We'll use that as a word. So
Yeah. Keep it PG.
Yeah. But I think, and you understand the characters too. But I think people can relate to that, the struggle.
The being young and trying to do what you can to get yourself to a better spot, working hard, not really having much to show for it, trying to attain your goals. I feel like there's a lot of that in there from both of them, trying to attain their goals.
How soon is the second book coming out?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't really.
I'm trying to actively work on it. I'm trying to get my writing patterns down better and try to get out there. I do a lot of mental thinking about it and playing around with things. So I'm hoping by the end of the year.
I find the second book is actually harder than the first book.
You got to live up to this guy.
Yeah. You're always promoting this book too.
Yes, and it is hard. The more I promote the other books, the more, like even today I was trying to do some marketing stuff, and then I was like, I really should be writing. I've just spent an hour on this marketing thing, and it's a balance, and it's not easy, but.
That's what I do all the time too. I figure like give half a day to the writers group, and then I got to write.
Yeah.
And then I'm done marketing all day long.
Got to take care of yourself. Yeah, exactly.
How does a nurse become a writer?
Well, especially with steamy books. I mean, I've seen all the parts, so there's that. I'm familiar with it. I don't know. I've just always loved romance. My mom always had the bare-chested, book-covered men on. She has tons of those. The Harlequin romance, and I just like those stories. I think there's so much terribleness in the world, and I love to escape into a book with a happily ever after.
That's what I enjoy about reading a book, because I read a lot of books for this group, and I read books in general. I read a lot of books. So, but your book was like I got away for a while.
Yes.
And it was such a bad week. We're taping this early in September, but it was such a bad week last week that I think that sometimes you need to have that.
Yes, it's a nice escapism.
Yeah.
Real life is hard. It's hard a lot of the times, and this, you're, especially with romance, you're getting a happily ever after, so it's all going to come around.
But reading, I think, gives you that escape that you really need, though, too. I think
So
that's what I worry about people not reading. Is reading takes you places you never go.
All kinds of reading, audiobooks, ebooks, paperbacks. They're all able to take you to this different planet, so you can escape.
I have a theory that somebody told you along the way that you were going to be a writer and gave you the push.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm going to think about that.
You don't have a person?
I think I did come up with weird stories, so I think my mom's a big reader. And
it's your mom. Yeah, it's easy your mom.
Probably my mom, yeah. Yeah, she definitely showed me those. In fact, I dedicated a book to her once, and I said, thanks, Mom, for introducing me to bare-chested covers. You ruined me. And she's like, oh, my God. But it's true. My love of reading definitely comes from my mom, and I did have all these kind of fantastical ideas. And
being a grandfather, you give advice to fathers, young fathers now. I always tell, read to your kids.
Yes.
That's the best gift you can give somebody.
Kids every night.
Yeah, give them something to do that too.
And my kids now, they're teens, so they read because they have to for school, but we definitely try to find books that they like. My youngest loves guitar, so he's reading Eddie Van Halen's memoir.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes. The other one likes sci-fi, so he reads his sci-fi books.
Did you read? So you read to them when they were babies?
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah. The same books. Oh, I still have them memorized from reading them to him. Yeah.
Going back to it, when did you decide to make your book a series?
When I started it, when I first thought of this character who saw his ex-girlfriend that he realized he was madly in love with, I felt like he needed some backup in his area, so I knew that he would be more than one character. And as I was writing, I definitely knew about the first three brothers, but the younger brother, he was a little bit of a surprise to even me, but I was like, we need a different voice in here to break this up.
I think he's a lot younger than his brothers too, so
Yes.
that came into it too.
He's got some good one-liners, that guy, yeah.
I think some people, though, are afraid when they see series because they don't want to get involved. But you could read your book and not stop
Yes.
if you wanted to. Now, of course, you want you to read the next book when it comes out.
I do have another book that's like you have to read 1 and 2. This one they're all going to be standalone. So if you didn't read another one, it would still make sense to you. You know what I mean?
Did you change it for that reason? After the
I did, because it is hard. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes if the book can't come out at a certain time and you leave off and you have to read it this way, it can be intimidating to readers and to any reader. And you're like, oh, now I'm just going to sign up for this whole series before I can read that one. It's not always a bad thing, but I wanted my readers to be able to just pick up where they wanted.
When you sit down to write, what is your schedule? Do you block out the window? Do you just no?
It's terrible. I'm awful. I'm such a procrastinator and I'm scatterbrained. Sometimes I set myself up at my table and I sit down to write. I generally always listen to music. Sometimes I'm sitting on the couch, but I don't have a set schedule.
So lock the door for 8 hours and write?
No. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I sit down and I can just write for 8 hours, and sometimes I'm lucky if I get 20 minutes in.
A lot of people want to write the books you write. I mean, it's a very popular thing.
Yes.
What advice would you give to somebody that was writing that book?
Just get everything on the page. Don't stop to edit every sentence. Don't stop to fix every autocorrect. Get everything on the page, and then you can go back and fix it. Because you've got the ideas, you know what you're doing, you know what you want your story to go, and just get that first draft done.
I can't wait for your second book.
Thank you. Me neither.
I wish it was tomorrow, so I could kind of. I don't want to leave Declan and Vivian alone for too long.
No.
I don't want to see what happens next when he goes on. I almost gave away the plot there for a second. I almost got to 30 seconds left in the show and gave away the plot. But Kate, I really appreciate you coming on and
Thank you so
being
much
part
for
of the
having
Stoughton Writers Group. We're a group that tries to bring promotion to authors that aren't maybe in the mainstream, like famous authors selling thousands of books. But we want to be when you make it there, you want to say, oh yeah, the Stoughton Writers Group helped me get there.
100%.
Yes. So that's our goal, and I really appreciate it. Your books are available at our friends Serendipity Books in Taunton and online, and so I really recommend this book, and I appreciate Kate for coming on, and we'll see you the next time on the Stoughton Writers Group on TV. Thank you, everybody.